Oh, hey! Okay, we're back. We're going to be reading a couple more chapters today, starting with chapter 6, Showing Off. We had just read the chapter before where Harris's mom and dad say, hey, why don't you invite Zeke and his parents over to our house now to have dinner? And then at the end of the chapter, Harris is like, sounds good, Mom. So we'll start with chapter 6 today and read a couple of chapters. One thing we're going to do is add another skill to our chart that's going to help us become experts on characters. We're going to pay attention to how characters respond to problems. So we already know the problem in this story is that Harris might expose Zeke to be an alien. Like he might tell everybody or try to do something that shows that Zeke is an alien. So just as we're reading, we'll think about how does Zeke respond to what's going on? How does Harris respond to what's going on? What's Harris doing, to contribute or not to contribute to that problem in the story? Okay, so here we are, chapter 6, Showing Off. Harris was looking forward to having Zeke's family over for dinner. This would be his big chance to prove to his parents, and Roxy that Zeke was an alien. The dinner was set for the following Sunday. At school that week, Zeke almost seemed to be showing off. In gym class, everyone had to climb up a rope. Harris struggled to pull himself even halfway up. Oh, that'd be me too. He glanced to his left and saw Zeke scurrying up his rope with his hands behind his back. Wow, that kid sure has strong legs, said the boy who was climbing the rope to Harris's right. Zeke smiled at Harris on the way down the rope after touching the ceiling. He is showing off, is he showing off? Harris wondered. Could he be getting too confident now that I've been in his house, met his parents, and seen his Tragas technology? Later, during arts and crafts, Harris worked on building a birdhouse. He started gluing popsicle sticks together. As he waited for some of them to dry, he looked over at Zeke and saw that he had already completed a big birdhouse. It had a hole cut in the front, a perch, and a completed roof. Wow, that does look good. Harris had barely begun, and Zeke was already finished. How did he do that so quickly? Harris wondered. Like right now, I'm like thinking, like, is Harris like becoming a little jealous of Zeke? I'm not sure, but it seems like the things that Harris is saying in his head, like, how did he do that so quickly? Is he showing off? Is he becoming jealous of Zeke because he's an alien or because like people don't know he's an alien? That might be how he's like dealing with the problem. He's starting to become jealous. The next day, Harris was sitting in math class. Okay, class, here's your brain buster problem for the day, said Mrs. Milton, their teacher. She proceeded to write a long list of 4-digit numbers on the board. She wrote a 5-digit number right below it. I'd like you to add this list of numbers together, then divide the result by the number on the bottom, said Mrs. Milton. Zeke's hand shot into the air. He was like, me. Yes, Zeke? Do you have a question? Asked Miss Milton. No, Miss Milton, I have the answer, Zeke said. His fellow students giggled. Wait, why did they giggle? Oh, they probably think like he's like joking or something because like no human being could come up with the answer that fast. His fellow students giggled. Zeke looked around, puzzled. Yeah, he was confused why they were laughing at him too. Then he told Miss Milton the answer. Why, that's correct, Zeke, she said. Very good, you certainly have a flair for math. Should I be surprised that an alien's brain works faster than a human's? Harris thought. I can't wait for Sunday night. Then everyone will finally know. I feel like he's feeling jealous on this page too, that Harris is feeling jealous. Okay, chapter 7. The very special visitors. Saturday finally came. Harris was excited but nervous. His parents would finally see for themselves how strange Zeke's family was. He spent most of the day helping his parents clean the house and set up for dinner. Oh, this is making me think that Harris's parents have never met, maybe have never met Zeke, or they've never met Zeke's parents. So they've only like heard things that Harris has told them about Zeke. Oh, okay. Roxy came over to help. Now remember, Harris, you need to be on your best behavior, said his mom. We want Zeke's family to feel welcome in the neighborhood. Nothing to worry about, Mom, said Harris, smiling. Just then, a whistle sound came from outside their front door. What in the world is that? Asked Mr. Walker. Harris remembered Zeke's first day at school. Zeke had whistled outside the classroom door instead of knocking. That's Zeke and his parents, Harris explained. That's how people knock in Tragas. Harris opened the door. Come in, he said to the three of them as he suspiciously eyed the food they were carrying. Harris introduced everyone. Zeke, these are my parents, Harris said. Welcome, said Harris's mom, extending her hand. Rita and Felix Walker. Nice to meet you. Zeke's father stared at Mrs. Walker's outstretched hand. I am Zad, and this is my wife Quar, he said. Zad extended his elbow towards Mrs. Walker. It's kind of what we have to do during coronavirus. Dad, people here don't touch elbows as a greeting, Zeke explained. They shake hands. Oh, I'm sorry, said Zad, reaching out and grasping Mrs. Walker's hand firmly before shaking it. I kind of like the elbow thing, said Mr. Walker. He extended his elbow and touched Quar's elbow. They both smiled. Why don't we have some appetizers in the living room, said Mr. Walker. The whole group settled into the living room. Harris's dad picked up a cracker and placed a slice of cheese on it. Cheese and cracker, he offered Quar. Or maybe he's like, cheese and cracker? She took the appetizer and stared at it. When she saw Mr. Walker take a bite, she did the same. It tastes kind of sweet and crunchy, said Quar. I like it. Oh, we brought a delicacy from Tragas to share with you. They are called Kreslars. Zad took the lid off the platter, revealing what looked like glowing purple slugs. Are they raw? Harris asked, a little grossed out by the slug's slimy appearance. Oh man, I would be too. Who wants to eat slugs? They are, but they don't have to be, replied Zad. Try one, Harris. Harris picked up a slug and noticed that steam was now coming off of it. It was warm to the touch. How did they do that? He wondered. How did they make it hot? It still sounds pretty gross to me, though. But they made it hot. Interesting. They taste kind of like warm fruit, said Mr. Walker. After trying one, Roxy smiled and looked at Harris. Not bad, right? A buzzer rang in the kitchen, and Harris quickly put his slug back. That is what I would do, too. Okay, everybody, Mrs. Walker announced. Dinner is ready. Okay, this is our last chapter we're reading today called Dinner with Aliens, where they're actually eating. Oh, look, there's Zeke. He brought everything to the table. Okay, the dinner guests sat down around the dining table. Roxy and Harris carried steaming platters of food from the kitchen. Zeke got up to help. As Harris put down a platter of fish, he saw Zeke returning from the kitchen. Zeke balanced 2 bowls, 3 plates, and a pitcher of water in his arms, shoulders, and head, all quite easily. Harris's parents clapped. That's pretty impressive, said Mr. Walker. Harris put his face in his hands. Oh, you can tell he looks upset. Zeke told us that you move around a lot. You must have lived in some interesting places for your work, said Mrs. Walker. Oh, yes, said Quar. In Plaxima, the weather was so severe that we had to walk backwards so the wind didn't blow us over. In Jurstic, people could eat their clothing. And in Nanstu, the language was so complicated, just saying hello took 5 minutes, added Zad. Look, you can see some of them eating their clothes. I never heard of any of these places, said Mrs. Walker. They are pretty far away and very small, Zeke said quickly, shooting his parents an annoyed look. Oh wait, shooting? Oh, that means it's like he didn't really like shoot something. He's like, like looking really quickly at his parents. After all the warnings they gave him about keeping the truth hidden, here they were telling strange stories. As he listened, Harris grew more convinced than ever that Zeke and his parents were aliens. He also noticed that platter after platter of food somehow appeared in front of Zeke and his parents, but he never saw anyone touch or pass anything to anyone else. That is suspicious. I could have sworn those potatoes were in front of Roxy a second ago, and now they're in front of Zeke. Harris also saw that neither Zeke nor his parents used their utensils. He watched as the food subtly floated up from their plates to their mouths when no one was looking. Why doesn't anyone else see this? Harris wondered in frustration. What's that? Roxy asked, pointing to a bottle of orange and green liquid that Zeke's parents brought. It's Sarlik, a popular beverage in Tragas, explained Zad. Try some. Roxy poured herself a glass and took a sip. Tastes like a cross between lemonade and orange juice, she said. I like it. Roxy quickly drank down the whole glass. Harris looked away for a second to see what Zeke was up to. Zeke was only looking back at him, smiling. Then he turned back to Roxy. Her empty glass was full again. How did that happen, he thought. The bottle is all the way across the room. There's no way anyone could have brought it over. Refilled Roxy's glass, then put it back in just a few seconds. When dinner ended, Mrs. Walker stood up. Let's move to the den for dessert and coffee, she suggested. Nobody else is noticing what's going on. Oh, there we are. We're going to stop here. And the next chapter is called Grounded. Thanks.